Have you ever felt, even without quite understanding why, that something has shifted within you over these past few weeks, as if an invisible weight you've been carrying for years has finally begun to dissolve? It isn't your imagination. It isn't a coincidence, and it certainly isn't luck. It is that you have finally succeeded, and in that very instant when you almost gave up, but took one more step anyway, all of heaven stood up and celebrated your name. Stop everything you are doing right now and listen closely, because what I am about to reveal to you in the next few minutes has been kept for this exact moment in your life. You did not open this video by chance. There is an order behind this that most people go their entire lives without realizing, and if you have made it this far, it is because your time has come. For a long time you fought alone. You cried in silence, prayed in the dead of night when no one was watching, and held onto your faith when everything around you screamed that it was time to quit. You saw doors slam shut. You saw people you loved turn their backs on you. You felt that deep soul-level exhaustion that no amount of sleep could ever cure. And in the midst of it all, an insistent voice whispered that perhaps you weren't enough, that perhaps the Almighty had forgotten you. Perhaps you spent entire nights awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to understand what you had done wrong to deserve so much struggle all at once. Perhaps you looked at the people around you, living with a lightness that seemed impossible for you, and wondered why your road was always steeper. Perhaps you smiled on the outside while carrying a weight inside that no one saw, a weariness you couldn't even put into words. And worst of all, you started to think that this was normal, that your life would always be this way, that your place was always here, the one who endures, the one who holds on, the one who suffers in silence. But I need to tell you a truth that will change the way you view each one of those tears. You were never alone, and none of that was in vain. Every battle you fought was being watched. Every time you rose after falling, something was moving in the invisible. Every prayer you thought went unanswered was, in reality, being added up, stored, accumulated, like someone filling a reservoir drop by drop until the exact moment to open the floodgates. You were being forged, you were being tested, and now you have overcome. What your eyes cannot yet see is that there is a world behind this world, a reality that overlaps with the reality you touch with your hands. And in that dimension, what happened to you did not go unnoticed. When you passed that final trial, the one that seemed too great, too heavy, too impossible, there was movement in heaven. There was a celebration your mind is incapable of imagining, because a chosen one had just completed their crossing, and few things move the spiritual plane as much as a child of the Almighty who refuses to quit. Think for a moment, what if all that pain wasn't a punishment but a preparation? What if every loss was, in truth, the removal of something that no longer fit the scale of what the Almighty has prepared for you? You were not being abandoned, you were being promoted. And promotion in the kingdom of the Spirit always comes after the wilderness. It was precisely because of this crossing you endured that I need to alert you to something important. Because this feeling that you no longer fit into your old life, that you have become too big for the world you once knew, it isn't confusion. It is a sign. It is proof that you are no longer the same. You have awakened. And whoever awakens discovers sooner or later that the victory they have just achieved is only the visible layer of a much greater spiritual game. A game in which you and not chance are the centerpiece. I am the chosen one, and I will download the ebook. My destiny is written in the Chosen Protectors Family Defense Handbook, and I am ready to claim my ebook. That is why I have prepared the powerful ebook for you, the Chosen Protectors Family Defense Handbook. This ebook was made for the exact moment you are living, the moment when you have finally succeeded, but still do not know how to shield what you have achieved, because no one warned you of one thing. Every great victory attracts great attention from the other side, and the enemy rarely attacks those who are already down. He strikes against those who have just risen. This ebook reveals the rules they never told you. How to recognize attacks disguised as relapses, how to seal your home and protect every member of your family the moment you become a target, and what to do so the blessing that has arrived does not slip through your fingers. The link is in the first comment pinned to the top, but I must warn you, this type of content is rarely available for long. What is in these pages challenges narratives that many have an interest in keeping intact, and there have been attempts to silence this knowledge before. Do not wait for the right moment. The right moment is now, Chosen One. Download it now and comment below. I am the Chosen One, and I will download the ebook. Write this with faith, as an act, as a declaration before heaven that you have understood that your time has come. And now that you have made this decision, let me take you deeper, because the next truth I am going to tell you is precisely about what happened at the exact instant you won and why the heavens could not remain silent. There is a passage that speaks of joy in heaven, and most people read this idea as if it were just a beautiful figure of speech. But I assure you, it is no metaphor. When a chosen one goes through their ordeal and comes out the other side without abandoning faith, there is a real reaction in the invisible world. You are not imagining it. It is the response of an entire kingdom acknowledging that one more child has passed the test that many failed. And here is what almost no one has the courage to tell you. Most people give up 3 steps before victory. They stop exactly at the point where the darkness is densest, which is always the point immediately preceding the dawn. The enemy knows this. That is why he intensifies the desperation exactly when you are closest. He does not have the power to defeat you. He only has the power to convince you to give up. And you did not give up. You kept going. And that is why you are here on the other side of the wilderness, breathing an air that those who give up never get to breathe. Notice one thing. In the last few weeks or perhaps months, something began to align. Maybe it was small at first, an unexpected opportunity, the right person appearing, a strange peace taking hold of you, even in the middle of the storm. This is not the work of chance. It is the effect of a crossing completed. It is the material world beginning to reorganize itself to reflect that which has already been decided in the spirit. First, it is resolved in the invisible. Then, it descends to the visible. And you are exactly in this phase of descent, where what was conquered up there begins to manifest down here. But here comes the warning that separates those who sustain their victory from those who lose it. Your spiritual promotion has given you authority. You now see what used to deceive you. You now feel when something is wrong before it even happens. You now have discernment, and discernment is a weapon. But every weapon requires that those who carry it know how to use it. And this is where many chosen ones stumble. They receive the authority, but they never learn the rules of the game they have been placed in. They win a battle, and because they do not understand the field, they lose the war. And it is precisely about these rules that I need to speak to you again, because the victory you have achieved is not the end of the story. It is your promotion to a level where the stakes are higher, and no one enters a higher level without a map. That is why I wrote this ebook, The Chosen Protector's Family Defense Handbook. This ebook is not just reading, it is a map that shows who is playing, what the rules are that they never told you, and what entities from other dimensions have already revealed about the exact moment we are living in. It was created for those who have awakened enough to know that reality is much deeper than what they teach, and who, after achieving such a great victory, are ready to go beyond the shallow answers the world offers. Because the truth is harsh but necessary. The most dangerous moment in the life of a chosen one is not when he is at rock bottom. It is when he has just climbed out of it. It is when he lets his guard down, thinking the combat is over. That is when the family becomes exposed. That is when the newly arrived blessing can be stolen by those who are just waiting for you to relax. This ebook teaches you, step by step, how not to fall into this trap, how to turn your victory into a fortress and your home into protected ground. The link is still there, pinned to the top of the comments. And I repeat with all seriousness, do not put it off. This knowledge is unsettling, and content that unsettles tends to disappear. Download it now and write in the comments, I am the chosen one, and I will download the ebook. Make this a seal, a commitment between you and heaven that you will not squander what you have achieved with so much sweat. And now that you have marked your position, pay close attention, because from here on I'm going to show you what really happened on the invisible plane on the day your victory was sealed. And this revelation will explain things in your life that you have never understood. There are layers in this reality, and humanity, for the most part, lives trapped only in the first one, the layer of visible facts, of what can be touched, of what can be measured. In this layer, a victory just seems like good news. A problem solved just seems like luck. A door opening just seems like a coincidence. But those who have awakened learn to see the second layer, that of spiritual causes. And it is in this layer that your true story unfolds. Imagine a game board. On the surface, you only see the pieces moving, a job that appears, a relationship that ends, a bill that comes due, news that arrives. But whoever sees only the pieces never understands the game, because the game is not in the pieces. It is in the hands that move them. And throughout your life there have been hands moving pieces against you, and you, without knowing it, playing in the dark, thinking you were just having bad luck. But bad luck does not exist for a chosen one. What exists is a game whose rules were deliberately hidden from you, so that you would play and lose, without ever understanding why. Let me explain to you what almost no one understands. That struggle you waged was not against the people who hurt you. It was not against the lack of money, against the illness, against the relationship that crumbled, against the persecution you suffered. Those things were just the surface, the visible part of a confrontation that was being waged in a dimension your eyes cannot reach. There were forces interested in seeing you stalled, interested in keeping you small, silent, convinced that you were nothing more than one of the many. Why? Because one thing terrifies the darkness more than any other, a chosen one who discovers who he is. And that is what happened to you. In the middle of the battle, something ignited. You began to suspect there was more. You began to pray differently, to feel differently, to resist in a way that you yourself could not explain. That did not come from you. It came through you. It was your nature as a chosen one awakening beneath all the weariness. And the instant you crossed the finish line, the instant you conquered what seemed invincible, the second layer of reality reacted. Heaven celebrated. And the darkness for the first time had to retreat before you. Now feel the authority that exists in that word. Retreat. What once dominated you now retreats before you. What once made you tremble now trembles. Feel it rising within you as I speak, because this is not a speech, it is a confirmation. You had already been feeling this change, you just didn't have someone to give a name to what is happening. That new firmness in your voice when you decide something. That sharp intuition that warns you before things happen. That newly discovered ability to look at a situation and simply know what is true and what is false. This is spiritual authority operating. This is the mark of someone who has been promoted. And understand the magnitude of what you have received. You did not come back from the wilderness the way you entered it. Those who enter the wilderness asking, leave declaring. Those who enter weeping, leave commanding. The prayer that was once a timid request now carries the weight of a decree. When you bless your home, the invisible organizes itself. When you rebuke what is wrong, it obeys. You have ceased to be someone who reacts to life and have become someone who commands over it. There has been an inversion. You have risen in position in the spirit. And from today on, when you enter an environment, something changes. When you speak, the invisible listens. When you declare over your life and over your family, there is weight to your words, a weight you did not have before you crossed the wilderness. This is what it means to have been promoted. This is what it means that all of heaven celebrated. But pay close attention, because this is the point that decides the future. Your promotion did not go unnoticed on the other side either. Just as heaven celebrated, the darkness took note. You are no longer irrelevant. You have become a target of value. And the enemy changes his strategy. When he realizes he can no longer take you down head-on, he starts aiming at what you love. He aims at your family, at your peace, at your home, at your children. Because he knows that a chosen one rarely falls on his own, but he can be shaken through those he protects. And that is why you cannot face this new phase unarmed. You need to know the rules. You need to know who is playing against you, how the attacks arrive disguised, and how to raise a siege of protection around everything you have conquered. No one defends a territory they do not know is being surrounded, and it is exactly this knowledge that has been hidden from you your entire life. That is why I prepared this powerful ebook for you, The Chosen Protector's Family Defense Handbook. This ebook is the direct answer for the moment you have reached. It shows you who is playing against your victory, what are the loopholes the darkness uses to enter a home in celebration, and how to seal each of those doors before it is too late. It reveals the rules they never told you, why newly conquered blessings are precisely the ones most under attack, how to recognize when a problem is natural and when it is a directed attack, and the spiritual step-by-step to transform your home into a fortress where darkness cannot step. I am the Chosen One, and I will download the ebook. This ebook was created for those who have awakened enough to know that reality is far deeper than what they teach, and that after everything you have been through, you will not settle for being left unprotected precisely at the time of harvest. It is for the Chosen One who has understood that winning is one thing, but sustaining the victory is another, and that sustaining it requires a map, requires strategy, and requires knowing the field. The link is in the first comment, pinned at the top, but I must emphasize this type of content rarely remains available for long. What is within these pages defies narratives that many have an interest in keeping intact, and there have already been attempts to silence this knowledge before. There is a reason why these truths are not taught openly, and that reason is precisely the power they place in the hands of those who know them. Do not wait for the right moment. The right moment is now, Chosen One, because you did not arrive at this video by accident. Download it now and comment, "I am the Chosen One and I will download the ebook." Leave this declaration registered, like someone planting a flag in the territory that is now yours. And now that you have taken your stand, take a deep breath, because what I'm about to reveal to you from here on out is the final blow against everything that has tried to bring you down all these years. It is the truth that ties this whole story together. Have you ever wondered why, among so many people, it was you who was tested with such intensity? Why did your life always seem harder, more demanding, full of battles that others around you did not seem to face? Have you ever felt mistreated by this, as if you had been given a burden too heavy to carry? Well, here is the answer that will reorder your entire history. You were not tested because you were weak. You were tested because you were strong. No one places a massive weight on a fragile structure. Trials of your magnitude were designed for someone of your size, and your size, Chosen One, is much greater than you ever imagined. The wilderness you crossed was not a detour, it was a school. And those who graduate from this school emerge with an authority that cannot be bought, inherited, or faked. It can only be earned. You paid the price. You made the crossing. And that is why your victory made all of heaven rise up, because it was not just the victory of a man or a woman, it was the graduation of a warrior. It was the confirmation that one more of the chosen was ready to assume their true role in this transition that has already begun. And here is the final blow against the oppression that pursued you. Everything the enemy used to try to destroy you, the Almighty is about to turn into a testimony. The scarcity that made you cry will turn into your story of provision. The persecution that isolated you will turn into proof that you were right all along. The betrayal that broke you will turn into the filter the Almighty used to remove from your life those who could not go where you are going. Nothing was lost. Everything is being used. And what seemed to be your ruin will be remembered in the future as the exact point where your glory began. And here is something that will touch you deep down. That victory you achieved did not end with you. It opened a chain. There is an invisible line that connects your children to your grandchildren, and your grandchildren to people who are yet to be born. When you crossed the wilderness and did not give up, you did not just break your own prison. You broke chains that came from before you, chains that perhaps imprisoned your father, your mother, those who came before. You became the turning point of an entire history, the link where the curse stopped and the blessing began. And that is why your victory stirred the heavens so much, because when a chosen one breaks a generational chain, it is not one person who is set free, it is a lineage. But precisely because the stakes are so high, the retaliation is as well. The enemy knows what you have just done. He knows that you have become a bridge of blessing for all your descendants, and he will do everything to convince you to let your guard down now, at the very moment you are exhausted from victory, thinking that you can finally rest. That is where the greatest danger lies. Not in the middle of the fight, but immediately after it. But I cannot finish without telling you the most serious part of all this. Authority without protection is a danger, And many chosen ones, in the enthusiasm of victory, forget to shield their rear. They advance alone, leaving their family uncovered, and it is through there that darkness tries to re-enter. Your victory is not yours alone. It has opened a door of blessing over your entire house, over your children, over generations yet unborn. And precisely for that reason, this door must be guarded. You were raised not only to win, but to protect. Not only to receive, but to cover your own. That is the calling of the chosen one, to be the wall standing between your family and that which seeks to destroy it. And that is why, once again, and with all the urgency this moment deserves, I have written this ebook, The Chosen Protector's Family Defense Handbook. This ebook is not just reading, it is a map that shows who is playing, what the rules are that they never told you about, and what entities from other dimensions have already revealed about the exact moment we are living in. It was created for those who have awakened enough to know that reality is much deeper than what is taught, and who, after achieving the victory that made heaven celebrate, understood that now the most important mission begins, to protect what is yours. Inside you will find how to shield your home after a great achievement, how to recognize attacks disguised as coincidence, how to spiritually cover every member of your family, and how to keep the authority you have just received ignited so that it is never taken from you again. These are the rules of the game placed in your hands so that you never again enter combat in the dark. The link is in the first comment, pinned at the top. And I tell you for the last time, looking into your eyes, this type of content is rarely available for long. What is on these pages challenges narratives that many have an interest in keeping intact, and there have already been attempts to silence this knowledge before. Do not wait for the right moment. The right moment is now, chosen one, because you did not get here by accident. You arrived because you were led. Download it now and comment with faith. I am the chosen one, and I will download the ebook. And remember everything you heard here. You finally made it. You crossed what seemed impossible, and while the world out there didn't even notice, all of heaven stood up and celebrated your name. Not because your battle is over, but because from now on, you no longer fight like someone who is afraid of losing. You fight like someone who already knows they have won. Hold your head high, chosen one. Your time has come, and the best of your story is just beginning.